Sitting outside the doctor's office. Gina just got signed to the UFC, so she fights on not this Saturday, but next Saturday.
Yeah, I saw your story. I was looking on your Instagram story and saw she has a fight. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, really cool. We need it.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm here with MMA Island. This is my first interview, actually. Chris asked if I wanted to interview you, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. I watched you on The Ultimate Fighter. I've seen quite a few of your fights, so I'm pretty excited. So I guess my first question is, what's being a fighter like during this COVID situation? Like, how was the training camp and all that? Like, how was fight week with this pandemic?
I mean, so the fight week was super short. I found out, I think it was 8 or 9 days before the fight.
Right.
Originally, I got offered to fight Jordan Espinoza at a different date, and then so I thought that was settled. Ended up falling through, and then I got the call for Brandon, and I thought it was going to be at the same date, but it ended up being for June 6th. So there really wasn't much of a camp. There was like an 8 or 9 day process to get ready, and like two totally different opponents. And but I mean, other than that, like there was an opportunity there to train and be in shape. I just kind of used that the COVID time to get settled into my new house and just kind of relax for a little bit. So it was all positive, really, minus losing the fight.
Do you feel like had maybe you had more time to prepare, like an extra couple weeks, the outcome could have been different?
Maybe, but that would have just he had the same time to prepare.
Fair enough. That's a good point.
Everything was fair, and it is what it is. I came out and fought at a pace that I always do, and I wasn't prepared to push that pace for 3 rounds. So I just didn't make the right adjustments. And being a veteran, it was something that I should have done. But I'm lucky enough. They told me that since it was short notice and all that, they're going to give me another shot. So I'll get at least one more fight. I'm going to go back to Kansas City and train with James Krause for a couple months and just work some real technical stuff with those guys, and then hopefully take one more and see how it goes from there.
Where are you right now? You're not in Kansas right now?
I've been in Las Vegas for the last 3 years, training here full time for the UFC Performance Institute, and my girlfriend's out here, so I've been in Vegas.
Nice. Yeah, Chris told me you wanted to do an interview at 4. I'm Pacific as well. I'm like, I thought, because I know you're in Kansas, that's where you're from, and I'm like, if he wants to do, because I just woken up, so I'm like, damn, I hope it's not 4 p.m. Central. But so you say you got another fight, UFC's giving you another shot. Who do you want? Like, is there anyone you want to call out?
No, I just want to, it got to a point to where I was kind of just fighting just to get, I was trying to make some money, put some money away, get a house, and then I put some money away and I got a house, and then I was like, well, shit, and now I still have fights, and then I'm not performing like I want. Yeah. So I'm just going to take a step back. It was like, try to get a fight. I didn't take any injuries in this fight.
That's
I
good.
was all ready to take another one, in a week. And then, Krause has been one of my longest friends and one of the best coaches. Yeah, man, he's such a good coach. And if he really set me down and told me something, I'm going to listen to him. And he hit me up after the fight and was like, look, man, he was like, I feel like I can really help you for your next fight. He was like, give me 2 months. Come out here, give me 2 months, and then let me work with you, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to go give him 2 months. Like he asked that. I feel like I owe that to him, and I owe that to myself. So I'm going to give him 2 months, and then, take a fight and see where I go from there.
Man, Krause has a lot on his plate because he fights as well as he trains. Like he's in the corner of a lot of fighters. Wasn't he in Anthony Smith's corner in the Glover fight, I think?
Yep. He cornered me in my fight. He just happened to be in Las Vegas when I fought Askarov, so he just happened to be there. Grant Dawson's fight fell through, so then James got to pop in my corner for that fight. But yeah, it's he's on a different level. He's and he knows how to work with me. I've worked with him a lot before. He's the guy who got me into the UFC, so it's just something I feel like I owe it to him and myself to go out there and he asked me, so I'm gonna give it my all for 2 months and see where that happens.
So you were in the UFC before the Ultimate Fighter, right? That was 3 years before, roughly.
Yeah.
So how did you end up getting in the Ultimate Fighter? Did they come to you, or did you I can't remember. I remember I've seen that season. I'm just trying to remember how you
I won the Titan belt. I fought Elliott Santos right outside of the UFC.
Right.
Won the Titan belt, defended it twice, and then they started the season 25. I told my manager I wanted to get in, and he was like, just wait. He was like, they're gonna do a 25 season. They're not gonna have any guys. Just wait. You'll get in that way. But I was really adamant about getting in, so I tried out. I didn't really try out for it. I just sent an email in, and then so I got in, and then again, they started signing guys right away while people were in the Ultimate Fighter. So I was like watching fights like, oh shit, this guy just got signed. Mm-hmm. And like, if you don't win the Ultimate Fighter, you're not guaranteed a contract anyway. So it was nice I got in just on that. Being the Titan FC champ, you had to have a belt. So I was lucky enough to, like, at the time, be the Titan FC champion. And then that pretty much got me in.
So you fought 3 fights before Mighty Mouse, correct? There was 3 fights or was it 4?
4 fights.
4. So who were the guys you fought? Like, some of them are in the UFC, right? Like Brandon Moreno, Matt.
I didn't fight Brandon Moreno. He lost the very first fight, and then he was on my
Pantoja.
Yeah. He lost to Pantoja, but he was on my team, and like I told my dad after that show, I was like, Brandon Moreno will be the UFC champion one day at flyweight. I really believe that. He's
looking great. Yeah,
he's special, man. Even at that time, like, had he not had to fight Pantoja his first fight, that would have went totally different, because like I watched him and Pantoja fight, and I was like, I can't fight 4 times like that. There's no fucking way. Like, and neither one of those guys could either. So like, the way I fought was a little bit smarter. I didn't go out there and get beat up my first fight.
Did you fight Pantoja? You fought?
I didn't fight Pantoja or Moreno. I did Matt.
You did Schnell.
Charlie Alaniz, Eric Shelton, Matt Schnell, and then Hiro Masa.
Yeah, Eric Shelton. I remember that.
Because those guys all banged each other up in their first fights. Like, my first fight was really quick. Like,
you got a lot of subs. Didn't you get like 2 or 3 subs in there?
Yeah. First round, like quick ones.
Do you think, or is Eric Shelton still with UFC? Maybe you could like fight him or something. That would.
Yeah, I don't think he's in right now. But he should be. He's good. I mean, that's the problem right now, is the division finally has some heat behind it. But like, a lot of the really good guys aren't even in the UFC, and then the only guys that are left are like really good guys. So like, you can't. And like me, I got lucky. Well, I got signed a fresh kid, right? Like, but he's been a guy that's been on the radar, like, waiting to get in the UFC anyway. So like, I mean, there's no easy fights now, and that's not what I'm looking for. I need to get back into that. I'm doing it because I want to win fights and have fun, not just like get money and get a house, because I achieved that goal through these last fights, and I'm like, now where do I go from here? I'm still in the UFC. Still got work to do.
So with flyweight, it's probably the smallest, like, with competitors. It's not a very big division, right? There's not a ton of you guys in that division.
Not anymore.
Yeah. I talked to some people online, and they think maybe UFC should like get in contact with one, because there's a lot. I think there's quite a bit of 125ers over there. I think that's the brand. Like, there's, and then maybe you can get the division bigger, more fights.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna, like, I could have fought at 35 this whole time. It's just when they started making guys jump ship, I was like, there's so many little guys, and there's so many good little guys. Like, I don't want to be part of the division folding. So like, I'm gonna hang out in the flyweight division until either I'm cut or there's no more division. So,
well, because I was gonna ask you how, like, do you think you could be able to make 125 for the rest of your career, or do you envision maybe moving up to 35 one of these days?
I would have said no way, but now that I'm down here in Vegas, or up here in Vegas, and I have the UFC Performance Institute, like, my weight cut is serious. It's like down to a science. Like, they put a paper meal plan in front of me, and then I just eat what they give me when they give it to me. I don't eat anything else, anything extra, and my weight just falls right off. So like, now that I have the performance guys at the PI, like, it's and also Gina cooking all my meals, my girlfriend making all my meals. It's super easy. I literally, I don't have to do anything. I just eat what's in front of me.
Hello.
She just got her blood work done.
Oh, okay. For like COVID testing, or?
Well, she's
like next week.
She's fighting the 13th.
I saw.
Yeah. So she just has to make sure all her medicals are intact.
What weight class? If you is it 35 or 45?
35.
35. Okay. And how's your weight cut? Like, do you cut? How much weight do you usually have to cut?
I mean, I got like 20 pounds right now to go.
Okay. Damn.
I got it.
That's tough, man. I can't. How about you, Tim? What's your weight cut usually consist of?
About that. Not well. She's only got a week's notice, so like hers will be tough. But again, we both have the PI, and they have our like what we're supposed to eat, and they make it super easy.
So Tim, what's your weight? What's your weight right now? Like
probably 48, 49.
48, 49. So what's like the ideal weight you want to be for fight week? Like what's
right around there. Like if I'm really hydrated, right around that.
okay?
I fluctuate so much when I'm drinking my water, and then I do the sodium depletion and all that. Like,
Yeah.
But again, like now that they take all the guesswork out of it, and like if you don't cheat at all, like it's like there's no reason why guys are missing weight, because everybody has access. Even if you don't live here, everybody has access to the nutrition people at the PI.
Yeah.
And like if you do it and you do it exactly the way it says, like it's not easy, but man, it's like there's no reason why a guy should be missing.
Well, it seems like flyweight has a pretty good, like quite a few weight misses in that division. I think. Well, I know Ray Borg really struggled to make weight in that division.
And his last one was at 35.
Yeah, he fought Ricky Simon. He actually didn't do too bad, but
and that's Ricky Simone is a tough fight. He's
Simone,
good.
Yeah. Ricky Simone, yeah. So I can't imagine though being on the Ultimate Fighter. Like how tough was that? Because you guys are there for how many weeks? 6 weeks, something like that. Like
7 weeks.
7 weeks.
And I made weight 4 Wednesdays in a row, and then fought 4 Tuesdays in a row, and then fought 4 Wednesdays in a row. So that was like after the Ultimate Fighter was when I hit my biggest point. Like I almost didn't make weight for the Demetrius Johnson fight. I was like walking at 160 pounds, but I didn't have any muscle mass afterwards because I just pretty much went without eating protein the whole time, and it just like ate all my abs and stuff where I had fat like chubby cheeks afterwards. It took about a year.
You looked rough in that weight cut there. I remember that fight.
It took about a year to get my body right after the Ultimate Fighter. Like I was messed up for like a year.
That was a really impressive fight. Like you probably had gave Demetrius one of the harder fights of his all title defenses, right? I mean, you had a sub in there. Like I think you arguably got one of the rounds, like the first round, I think. Like you had a guillotine, if I'm not mistaken.
Close. Story of my life.
Yeah, that was pretty badass. Like you really surprised a lot of people. Like you were.
And it's a fun fight. I like those fights.
Yeah, that was a fun fight. And then you fought was it after that you fought Ben Nugent, I think, or
Ben Nguyen, yeah.
Yeah. Is he still with UFC?
He's not. They got rid of all these, like a lot of those guys who are good. Like he should be in the UFC as well. There's no reason why.
I was gonna say that's a rematch I'd like to see, because I could honestly see you winning that rematch. Honestly, like
that's a fight I'd like to have back.
Because I think if I remember correctly, did you have a bit of a tough cut for that one?
No, it was more. He just kind of caught me off guard. That was a 24-hour flight. I left Las Vegas at noon,
right,
and then arrived in New Zealand at noon the same day.
That was
which was really
strange. Yeah,
really
I remember.
Strange,
I think you
the whole
shot
thing
in
was off.
He got you with like a knee or something like that. Yeah, I remember.
Then right to a submission.
I mean, I know they say there's no luck in MMA, but that one was like, I feel like that's a fight you would win most of the times.
Well, and that's just my fighting style. Like the way I go at people, like I'm liable to get, the messed up thing is like I've been submitted by way, way worse guys than that,
Fair.
And girls and even little kids sometimes. Like when you go with good little kids, man, so it's not that big of a deal. Like I just want to be able to go out and perform well and go out on my shield and at least like this last one, even though I got submitted in the second round, still got the $50,000 bonus. Like that's my fifth bonus.
Right?
Yeah, fight of the night.
Was that one in Brazil? Was that one in? No, not Brazil.
That was Apex. Yeah.
Yeah, Brazil. Wait, they're not doing Brazil this weekend, are they? They were supposed to.
They're all at the Apex now in Las Vegas.
Oh, it's Las Vegas, because I think they were in Florida, right? They were in Florida for the first.
Okay. Yeah, and that's how Gina got signed, because we're here in Vegas. She's like on weight, like all her medicals and stuff, like obviously she's getting blood work, but so like everybody was saying, like when the pandemic started, all of a sudden all these guys were coming out of the woodwork like, oh, I'm ready to fight, and I was like, yeah, of course you're ready to fight now that half the roster can't fight. Everybody's saying they're ready to fight, but then like the truth of it is like the guys that are ready to fight, like I'm seeing guys, they're here in Vegas, they're close to weight, they're like training, like guys who aren't even signed. They're like, if you really want to get in the UFC, now's the fucking time. You get to Vegas and you get close to weight, you get your medical stuffs in, and if you have a manager, like you're gonna get signed. Like they're looking for fights and they're happening every weekend. Yep.
Well, because some guys are fucking like, there's still like travel ban and stuff, right? Like some guys can't get.
Well, that's how Gina got signed. A Brazilian was supposed to come in. She had visa issues, so bam, Gina was here, ready to go. Like she gets a call, and that's how it should be.
But I guess they must be because Jacare made it over, and now Aldo and Figueroa, some of those guys will be fighting.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. Yeah, you'll have Joe B. Figueredo coming up.
Yeah, what do you think for that one? Do you think Figueroa is gonna get it again? What do you think?
I don't know. I train with Joe B, so like obviously I'm on that train, and like we fought before, and he coached me on the Ultimate Fighter, like pretty much got me
he was the coach.
to a world title.
You were on his team, right?
Yep.
You were, yeah, that's.
I was his first pick. I wasn't the number 1 seed, but I was his first pick.
Yes, yeah, and then that's because wasn't Pantoja the first? He was like the very.
Pantoja was number 1 seed,
Moreno
and like
was
rightfully so.
So that's how they got matched up. They did like the first, kind of like the playoffs for like NHL.
And that's when we all saw Brandon Moreno, and everybody was like, well, the whole house was like, holy shit, like you can't fight 4 times like that in 4 weeks. No, nobody can.
Yeah.
And like it even screwed Pantoja too, because number 1 seed, but he had such a banger with Brandon Moreno. Like if him and Brandon didn't have that first fight, like who knows how that season goes? Like
didn't he lose to Eric Shelton or something?
I think so. Like one of those guys.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
But it was because those guys, like me and Eric Shelton, up until our fights, like didn't take any damage from anybody. Like I didn't get hit or kicked hard one time really until I fought Hiramasa in the end.
You guys were on the same team. Shelton was on the team Benavidez, right?
Yep.
Because I think by the semifinals, it was like maybe 1 Team Cejudo. I think.
Yeah, I fought 2 Team Cejudo and then 2 Team Benavidez.
Right.
Matt Schnell and Eric Shelton were both on my team.
Yeah. No, I thought Matt Schnell was on Team Cejudo. Oh, he was.
Oh, no, yeah. No, he was on. Sorry.
Yeah, he was.
Eric Shelton and Hiramasa were on my team.
He was the Japanese guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you beat him by like decision, or did
decision?
You
yeah, and it was really close, super close.
Yeah,
fight.
it was the 3-round fight, right?
3-round fight, and he had me like in the very end of the round, had me in a tight guillotine, like.
Yeah, I remember that. That was like a really epic fight. I remember that. And then, when was that filmed? Like, I remember the fight was December with Mighty Mouse, like December
2016.
It was the summer, right? Yeah, it was the summer of 2016. Yeah. Would you like to see the Tough series come back? Like, it's kind of been gone for a while.
I like the show, so for me, I definitely would. I would not like to be on the show again. No. Definitely not.
No.
But I would like that. And even if Gina was like, that was her way to get back in, I would rather her get in a different way, because I just know like that shit's taxing, especially if like it's different. Like I was going in there with a bunch of young guys who like live by themselves or live with their parents, but like I was living in my own house, like with
your daughter already, right?
Yeah, and then like these guys can't even lift the toilet seat when they take a piss, so like it was pretty nerve-wracking in there, like so.
Yeah, that was I just can't imagine the weight cutting, man, for that show. Like that would be pretty rough. So what was I gonna say? So if you were like, what do you think is the most valuable martial art? Like, what do you think if someone were to start out in MMA, like what's the first thing they should get to learning?
I would say probably wrestling, because it's one of those things that's free. Like every other, like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, everything else, like you have to pay to go do it. But wrestling, even kids wrestling, it's pretty much free.
Yeah,
like, they want people in there.
Yeah, that's a good point, because even in like my middle school, high school, they had like a team. Like they don't really have boxing teams, or at least not at my school. They didn't have boxing, didn't have any BJJ teams or anything like that.
So that's just one of those things like you can utilize for free that like, anything else you're going to have to pay for. Yeah. And like it's the hardest to learn later. Like guys can learn how to kick later, learn how to punch later, but learning how to like wrestle is one of those things that's it takes years. And then like when you try to go back and do it later, like it's a good way to get, like you have to work ways around it. You can't go back and wrestle.
Well, it's so valuable in MMA wrestling, like especially on like you'll see on the Tough series, it's a really small, it's a lot smaller of a cage, so you'll see like wrestlers do pretty well. Like
same with these Apex fights now, the cage is 25 feet, I believe. Yeah. So it's a little cage.
One of the commentators mentioned that last one, I think it was in one of the fights, how it's a smaller cage, so there's a lot more it's kind of harder for like strikers who like to kind of move around, and they kind of can get caught up on the fence easier.
Yeah, it plays to a wrestler's advantage a little bit.
It does, for sure. Well, I'm trying to think of something. I had a couple questions I was going to ask you. Had them on my notes.
Do you want to drive to the house and I'll go back in? I'll switch over here.
Oh, I got a good one. So, what is your favorite submission? Like, what's your go-to submission?
Oh man, I like the Vaughn Flu, and I thought I had that. That's really where I wore myself out in the Brandon Royvall fight.
Yeah.
When he guillotined me, I thought I had that Vaughn Flu, and I just squeezed my arms out. But that's probably my favorite one. It's the most fun to hit. It's
like the OSP. OSP does that. He's got like 2 of those or something in the UFC. So when are you looking for another fight? Like, are you thinking of coming back in the summer, maybe, or fall?
So I talked to my manager. I told him I was going to go spend some time with Krause and those guys, and then instead of just like, because I tried to put some money away and get my house, and I feel like I did that. So now I want to like invest in myself and train and try to get a win. So
you got the house now? Like you've moved in and stuff?
We moved in. Gina and I just moved into our house together, so we're
perfect. Congrats. That's awesome.
And now she's back in the UFC.
Or is that
in Las Vegas.
Okay, cool. So you because Krause that's in Missouri, if I'm not mistaken.
Krause is in Missouri, and that's I'll be heading there for a couple months here, coming right after Gina's fight.
Nice. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that'll be good. When was the last time you did camp with Krause?
Oh man, it's been a while. I don't even know. It's been a minute.
So maybe that camp switch, that could be a big help for your next fight, because.
Yeah, and just a little change of pace. Like I think Gina and I like to travel anyway, and we get to the same training partners and the same guys. Like everybody there knows what we're good at, and all of my teammates know how to kick my ass already. So I want to go somewhere else where other people got to learn how to kick my ass.
Yeah, I think that's definitely for a fighter. That's kind of an important thing to switch up camps sometimes. Learn new things, train with different guys or girls, and that kind of help them in fights. Like I think that's a good
especially
idea.
For Gina, because there's not a lot of girls here, and James has some girls out there that are that he's brought up, so they'll be happy to have a girl like Gina come down there and train.
What was the name of Gina's opponent again? I saw on your story. I just I don't know if I looked at the name.
Julia
Avila. Julia Avila. She's a raging panda.
She's what?
She's the raging panda.
And what's her MMA record?
7-1.
Ooh.
And girl.
Is this her first UFC fight?
This is her first. No, second. This will be number 2.
Did she win the first one?
Oh, she beat Penny.
I think I've heard of that girl.
So the Swedish chick. So this will be her second UFC fight.
And that's at 35.
Gina's freshly signed.
Oh,
the second and first UFC fight.
And that's Gina's fighting next weekend? Gina's fighting next weekend.
Yeah, the 13th.
And who's headlining that one again? Who's headlining that?
Gina, who's headlining that?
Jessica I.
Jessica I, and her and Gina are actually friends and training partners. So.
Ooh, and that's at 25, if I'm not mistaken, right? With Calvillo?
Oh shit. Yeah, 35. Yeah.
Oh, 35. Okay. Your connection's getting a little.
35.
Is coming from 150. I'm losing you.
Yeah, connection's a little rough right now. I think it's good now. I think it's good at the moment.
Yeah, we're driving now.
Oh, okay. Do you got to get going, or?
Yeah, I'm gonna lose you. I feel like because we're in traffic.
Okay, well, no worries. Well, thank you so much, Tim, for your time. It was really cool. I hope I did a good job. It was my first interview, so.
Yeah, man, really good job. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much, man. Yeah, have a good day, you too.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
All right, man.
Good luck, Gina, in your next fight.
Thank you
so much.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys.